Hello, brothers and sisters. My name is Jocka, and welcome back to the chat. Now, seeing as this is coming out Monday, I will preface now that it is not actually Monday while I'm recording this. As we speak, or as I'm speaking now, while this is technically uploading on Sunday, I will be at my friend's concert, which I'm super stoked for. Matt, if you're listening to this, good man on you. Also, please, a big shout out to Deeply Faded, because that's Matt's band that I'm seeing on Sunday, and they are awesome. In fact, I will leave a description to their, I believe they have a YouTube channel, down below. Please check them out if you guys like. I consider them kind of like a metalcore, like slight hints of punk. Matt, don't kill me if you disagree, but that's just what I see in you guys' music. So super pumped for that, and I can't wait. But today I kind of wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind lately, and I will introduce it by saying people don't get along always. And I think that's natural. People, people identify with certain beliefs and similar opinions and views on certain things, right? And that's like kind of the common base of developing relationships and friendships, right? Is common interests. And sometimes it goes the opposite way too, where you meet somebody and not necessarily that either one of you are a lesser person. It's just that you're so opposite in what you believe in that it can be a bit of a turn off to try to develop a relationship with that person, and that is completely natural. People are not, there are tons of views out there, and all of them have at least two sides to them, right? So it is a very common thing that people disagree about things. However, there comes a point where when a disagreement or an issue arises in a friendship or a relationship, anything to do with a pre-existing bonding with somebody else, that sometimes, in fact, I will wager to say most of the time, goes unchallenged. So I'm talking about drama. I'm talking about friend drama, family drama. Things that are said behind closed doors without mentioning it to each other and trying to solve the conflict together, right? So today I wanted to kind of talk about my thoughts and my thought of importance of I looked up another word for openness, and I found a really cool one called forthrightness. Now, I really like this word. Basically, it means being really forward without hesitation. You lay it out all on the table and you try to get it done, right? Sometimes there are times with certain things that you want to bide your time. It's all about choice, right? But in my opinion, with me, if I see an issue, I want to tackle it head on, and I want to solve it with the people involved together, not pointing any fingers. Just solving the problem and growing from it as a whole. Now, this clearly this kind of happens with like I said, relationships or friendships. Bonding with other people. Once the status is established that you guys are friends or whatever, sometimes the other one or the other people could do something that they wouldn't really consider a negative thing or whatever, but it could bother the other person. But then a lot of the time, the other person doesn't mention it because a plethora of reasons, really, because they don't want to start anything. They don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. They don't want to. Maybe they're afraid of confrontation, so that they decide not to and just kind of play it off. But let me tell you, in my opinion, that is one of the biggest mistakes that one could make, because if that happens, then that's just going to keep happening, and then it's going to build up, and then it's just going to ruin a lot of stuff later on in the relationship. And that, what's it worth, right? So being forthright about your certain, about your issues with somebody else, there is a tactfulness about it, right? You don't want to you don't want to villainize the person, because sometimes they aren't even aware, because that's just how they do things. Sometimes it's not something that they're rude or anything towards you. It's more just they're doing something to you that you dislike, but they just don't really see it that way. And if you approach them about it, but in a way where you don't go, oh, like, I fucking hate it when you do this, like, you're such a jerk, that immediately gives a person an opportunity to go defensive, right? You want, like, in the end, I think the most important thing about confrontation is realizing that this is for the good of the friendship or the relationship, right? It's not about putting the person in their place, because it's not your place to do that. I'm sorry to say, a lot of people derive a lot of satisfaction from putting people in their place, but I mean, honestly, no one knows a person's place but that person. So I'm sorry to say, but it's fruitless to just go after that. And it doesn't even, in my opinion, that doesn't make me happy to just see somebody realize that they were wrong, like, I don't like seeing people feel bad about things that they did. I want to see them grow from it. I want to see them move past it and grow to better people, better versions of themselves, right? But anyways, that was a bit of a tangent. But going back, when you're approaching somebody about this, you don't have to be, abrasive. Just, say, listen, when you do these certain things, I feel this way, like, it doesn't even have to be so direct. It's just like, yeah, or so important. You don't have to make it seem so important, right? Even though it is important, but that's why we're talking about it, right? Because when people when they feel negative feelings towards something, it is important, right? It exists, it's there, and it's damaging that person. So if you just talk about it, there's a better chance of getting over it, which is actually my next point, in which if we just let things fester, right? When we just let drama and underhandedness kind of rule, where people are giving like sass to each other, and it's just getting nowhere, right? People just kind of sit in this stagnant pool of boiling dislike towards each other. And is that really a friendship that anybody wants to invest in, right? Friendship is supposed to be about growth and understanding and happiness, right? And watching the other person grow, and being together in the growth, right? And vice versa, But if y'all are just kind of sitting there and just brooding about things that bother you about the other person, is it really worth the friendship or the relationship, right? So that's why talking about things, at least you have the chance of solving it together. And that's another thing that I wanted to say is, it's not just you solving it, right? It's the other person. Once you establish that, they have an equal weight to pull in the friendship, which it should be, right? It's a dual weight that people need to pull, right? If one side is wavering, then that has to be corrected, or else it's a fruitless relationship. But saying that, I was talking to my friend about this, and I think some people, they're afraid of confrontation, but I feel like it's more of a fear of conflict rather than confrontation. There is a difference. We boiled it down to, conflict is when you have an issue with the person, and then confrontation is when you have an issue. You have an issue with the issue, rather, that you want to correct. Because conflict is when you disagree with somebody, and then you attack them, right? You bludgeon their beliefs and their opinions. And sure, people are allowed to do that because people can say and whatever they want. But is it really worth it if you're trying to cultivate a friendship, right? Confrontation is simply addressing that issue and then trying to find a compromise. You know, it's not about beating the other person. It's about finding a compromise and both of you growing from the situation, or however many people are there growing from the situation. And I can almost guarantee, not only will when you bring this up, when you are forthright about the problems that have been on your mind involving somebody else, it will kind of fast forward to the lowest low of, people can get upset during the confrontation. People can realize their faults and get defensive or emotional. But it's almost it's like ripping a Band-Aid off, right? You don't want to do it slowly because it just hurts consistently, and then it seems like it's never going to end. But then if you just rip it off completely, it hurts quite a bit potentially, right? Depending where that Band-Aid is. And let me tell you, I've had Band-Aids in a lot of places, and it definitely hurts in certain places. Never mind. Anyways, but it is very possible that people can get emotionally kind of broiled in this situation, in the confrontation, or the confrontation. But that is natural, right? Because people, they don't like fighting, popular to contrary belief, but especially with loved ones, I think in the end, people are most afraid of losing that person, right? And again, if you just keep reminding them that this is about saving the friendship, we want to work through this together, that's where the real value lies. And then I can guarantee that since that we'll be reaching that lowest low potentially, things will get better afterwards. There's once everything's on the table and looked at, you can work through it, find compromise without trying to keep your emotion stabilized as best as possible, and then work through it, and then you will see the fruits of your labor post talk. I guarantee, because people will be happier that everything's off their chest, first of all, because it is always good to talk about your problems, and then second of all, you'll be able to realize that the people that were annoying you at first are now aware of what they're doing to annoy you, and since if they really care, then they'll do something about it. There may be instances where a compromise can't be made and the friendship is at a standstill, but sometimes letting go is the best action, because going back to the beginning of the chat, sometimes people just don't get along, right? Sometimes people refuse to change their beliefs. Sometimes people refuse to change their opinions, and they will constantly butt heads. But if you really believe in growing in yourself, then that friendship, a possibility is that it could end. And would that be a bad thing? Maybe at first, but then you might be surprised at how much you and your old friend might grow more from separating and not having that issue anymore. But it's not about that. This chat is about bringing people together, right? And keeping things inside when you're trying to cultivate friendships is not a way to bring people together. I can promise you that from experience. But anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you guys so much. Like and comment, subscribe if you like more. And again, I will leave Matt's info or whatever in the description. Please check him out. And I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.